whatever your business is, we spend a lot of time trying to figure out whatever our business is. And one of the ways we can do that is with something called design thinking. Stay tuned. We're going to learn a little bit about that and the guys that can teach it to us. How's that, guys?
Great.
It's almost like
and
you
now
do
we
this
give
for a
something to
living.
edit.
Yeah.
I envy your ability to do stuff like that on call.
fly.
Yeah, on the fly. That's really great.
I'm excited to be able to sit here and talk to Ben and Mitch and learn a little bit about them, learn a little bit about their business, and really how they got this whole thing going. If you guys don't mind, could you just tell us your names and how you two came together to have a business together?
Sure. Yeah, so I'm Mitch Marcello, and I started my graduate work a few years back, and it was actually in creativity and innovation. And so I did my graduate work, and through that process...
Where were you doing that?
That was through Drexel University. And so through that process, I really came to appreciate how much creativity is needed, not just in our everyday life, but what it can look like inside of businesses, inside of organizations. One of the things that really stuck out to me is that the World Economic Forum releases the top skills that CEOs, that leaders are looking for around the world. And in 2025, 5 of the top 10 skills that, again, these leaders and CEOs are looking for are all related to analytical thinking, innovation, and creative problem solving. And this being identified as a skill and as a need that we can actually help teach people what this looks like and how to do that became a very intriguing concept. So throughout my graduate degree, I had a couple of opportunities to actually work with some businesses with design thinking to help them really innovate in a number of different ways. And that was really kind of the groundwork of this idea of maybe there could be this business that helps people in Williamsport and beyond to really do this. And so Ben has been a good friend of mine, so I guess I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Ben, and I've always been a problem solver. And so design thinking, when I came across that, you've probably had a moment like this. There's a moment when you've been searching for something, or you've been doing something for a while, but you've never had the right language for it. And then someone comes along and says, okay, this is design thinking, this is how it works. And it just kind of clicked with me. It's like, oh, this is what I've been doing and wanting to do and trying to look for a long time, just whether it's through work or through school or whatever it is, just kind of how I've perceived. And so design thinking, in essence, is an excellent toolkit for creative problem solving. It's what I've always loved to do. It's what makes me tick, is just solving problems and getting in there and finding out the best way forward. And design thinking kind of just offered me the right nomenclature and the right processes and the ways forward. So when Mitch was the one who originally introduced me to design thinking, then I had some training and have been experiencing and practicing it for a long time now. But he originally introduced it to me, and for a number of years, we just dug into it, learned everything we could about it, and started kind of introducing it in the circles we were already around. And time again, it just proved that it was a need. It paid dividends across the board in terms of the kind of results it brings. And it was something that few people can really implement well. So our passion is just to know the design thinking process as best we can and help people use it and implement it in their various contexts.
Mm-hmm. So then you two got together, worked through this, and you created
Imago Innovation.
Imago Innovation.
Yeah.
So how do you get that name?
Oh, how did we get the name?
Oh man, that's a great question.
Cups of coffee at Alabaster?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what we had come up with a few names prior to it, and the logo was a big challenge as well. Because anytime, so for those of you who started your own business, anytime you try and put flesh on an idea, it's not you've got this golden moment and it's there. It's often iterate after iteration after iteration. And so I don't remember all the iterations we had, but we eventually landed on Imago. And I think it's primarily because it kind of has a wordplay with an image. And so there's ideating, there's imagination in there, because imagination is one of the things that we have to feed in order to be creative, to see problems from different angles. And yeah, do you remember anything else about years ago?
I think that's a good summary of it. But yeah, I mean, definitely with imagination, giving a little bit of a tie towards that. One of the lessons that we love to teach is that when we pursue innovation, we can oftentimes forget that how that starts is imagination, and there's that it can be difficult for us to make room to gain inspiration or tap into our imagination or the collective imagination in our businesses. But when we do that, that's really how we're going to be able to get to these innovative, solutions that we really desire. So, but yeah, I mean, that's really how we got to that Imago innovation.
So you create this company, and now you're out there doing what all of us as business owners are doing. You're trying to figure out, how do I convey the value of what I'm doing to a customer who doesn't understand it.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind, let's start with 30 seconds to a minute and a half. Explain to me the value of design thinking to me as a business owner. Whether it's my photography or the Covation Center as a not-for-profit, why do I want to know about design thinking? How will it change my world?
Sure. Yeah. So I'll start by saying we believe that we can't be focused on out-competing our competitors. We need to be focused on out-innovating, on coming up with different solutions and really fostering that in the cultures that we're working with. And so if we can get people to actually agree that that is the way to move forward, that what we did 5 years ago or even 5 weeks ago may not be what is needed to move into the future and to be profitable, to meet the needs of our clients and our customers, that's a great foundation for us to start with. And so the second thing I'd say is that everybody gets stuck. Whether it's, again, personal life or as a business. And if you get stuck, or if you think of like a truck in a ditch, right? And we're spinning our wheels, we can't get out. What we need help with is someone to come along and help pull us out of that ditch. And so we love helping get people unstuck. And so we do that through creativity, through innovation, but hey, we haven't come up with a new product, or our processes don't make sense, and we can really tap into the potential that is really latent here inside of our company. So people that are unstuck, and to help people innovate. And so I'll pass it to Ben to see if he can articulate it in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was all spot on. I'll say what sold me on design thinking and what I think, what it changed for me. And so what I would say, how does design thinking change your world? It helps you change your customer's world. And that's how it changes your world. Oftentimes in business, it's easy to get away from the real needs of the people we're trying to serve. And so what sold me on design thinking is the entire process keeps your nose to the grindstone in the real needs of your client, your customer, and it keeps you close to their perspective. What are their needs? What are their problems? How can we help them? And so that sold me, because no matter where I go, if you lose the heartbeat, which is, I'm here to serve. Ultimately, every business is in a service industry. We're trying to help people. We're trying to help solve people's problems and help them experience life in a better way. That's what design thinking does. And so it changes your world by helping you change others' world.
Now, you guys have gone through our masterclass program, and we have our selection of books sitting here on the table. What I just heard you talk about was, in a sense, everything comes out of building a story brand, right? Yeah. The idea that that's your customer is the hero of your story.
That's right.
And what I'm hearing you guys talk about here is you're talking about the business is the hero of your story as you're helping them become the guide for the hero of their story.
That's right.
Kind Absolutely. Of a layer of a layer, kind of a meta view.
Yeah, it's really it's wonderful to be able to walk into a room with people. People know their businesses better than we do, and we just know this creative process. And so being able to say, your client, your business, you are the experts in this. What we're going to be able to help you do is understand and really take hold of a creative process that isn't going to just result in one innovative solution. This has the potential to change your entire way of working. Rethink what leadership can look like, come up with, again, creative solutions over and over again, rather than, hey, we came up with one great idea 25 years ago, and we're still on that one idea. Well, what if it was normal inside of your business to constantly be coming up with ideas and finding and executing on those? And that's what design thinking allows us to do time and time again.
Well, what I just heard is that what I heard is a counter to something I haven't said yet. Okay, one of the things that I think businesses often say is, you can't help me. You don't know anything about X. You don't know anything about coffee. You don't know anything about coffee. You don't know anything about chocolate.
Right.
You don't know anything about cut flowers.
Yeah.
Right.
But the answer is, what I'm hearing you say is, that's true.
That's true.
And that's what we bring to the table.
Yeah.
We're not in that box.
And actually, so for like creative lesson, there's different creative principles and creativity principles. One is that you don't want to be surrounding yourself with people that all have the same perspectives.
So can we pass that on to politics?
Yes.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Try.
And so, and so there I forget what the name of this story is, but there was a story where there were all these CEOs and the C-suite situation, and there was a janitor that was working, and they were trying to come up with like the best idea or ideas around this one solution or problem they were having. And this janitor that just happened to be in the room late at night chimed in with this one idea, and they're like, that's the idea. They didn't have that same perspective, and ever since then, they always invited this janitor back to all of their brainstorm sessions. But it shows, when you invite varying perspectives and you create an environment where it's safe and normal to be coming up when sharing what your ideas are, we have the potential to actually land on something that can change our work and change our businesses for the better, obviously.
One of the things, I won't go into all the stories.
Sure.
I usually tell these stories in the masterclass, but I learned several from my son, and one of them is you need to listen to what people are saying, not how they say it. Right? So get past what you hear them saying, the language they're using or the accent or whatever. But the other one is understand that your position may get in the way of them hearing you. And the flip of that, which is don't let somebody's position get in the way of you hearing what they're saying. So I may be like a janitor, and I need to understand that as a janitor, you may not hear me. But as the CEO, I need to understand, I need to listen to the janitor. And it's a great story.
In understanding that their perspective, so oftentimes what happens is that, if I'm going to be, this is a blanket statement, this is not necessarily true for every business, but we'll have 2 or 3 people at the top that feel like it's their responsibility to come up with the ideas that are going to save the business or take it into the next next season or whatever that looks like. However, the reality is that there are people that are working with the customers day in and day out that have a very valuable perspective, that when we learn and open up that avenue for them to share their ideas and give their perspective, all of a sudden we're going to be coming up with solutions to those customers' problems. And that's eventually going to affect our bottom line, what we're really trying to accomplish. So it's kind of, which is where we're trying to be a profitable business. But how we do that is by understanding our customer and really meeting their needs directly, rather than having assumptions of what they are or coming up with ideas in the ivory tower that we hope hit.
I want to hear either your most exciting resolution for a client or the most challenging one you've had to work through, that you, when you look back at it, you're like, wow, how did that happen?
So for me, I'll always come back to the people. That's my why. The masterclass where we have the stack of books here, and one of the Start with Why book
Start
here.
with Why book here with Simon Sinek.
And so that book was helpful.
We're validating the selection of books in the masterclass. Just want to say we got good books for you in the masterclass.
Yeah, and one of the things that the masterclass also offered was there were some helpful tools around identifying your target audience. And so building personas and that kind of thing, figuring out who is it you're really trying to serve and that kind of thing. And there was this moment we were working with a retail, and Mitch and I, this is one of our favorite stories. We were working with a retail business up in New Hampshire on contract, some friends of ours. And so basically,
what part of New Hampshire? Gotta ask. Gotta get the details.
Lincoln.
That's
Nebraska.
yeah, Lincoln. And so that was beautiful up there, by the way. Absolutely gorgeous. I've never gone skiing before, but just being there, I just felt like a skier. I know. It rubbed off on me.
Felt the wind as I rushed down a non-existent hill at that moment.
There's also like a whole nomenclature. Like people talk differently when they're around slopes. Like there's all sorts of nomenclature, like powder and
fresh powder.
Yeah,
shred
it. Yeah,
send it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we picked up on some things, so we could fake our way through it. But one of the things that we saw was
code switching. I believe that's called, right?
Code switching.
You start using the language of the people.
Oh yeah, it helps us get to know the people we're helping. Code switching. I've never heard that one before. And what happened there is in the retail that we were working with, the entire staff participated in a brainstorming session. And so everyone from the owner to the barista in the cafe that was there to the person stocking the shelves, we all got everyone together, participated in a brainstorming session. And there was one individual on staff who was about as closed off to the idea of being at that table as we've ever seen. Zero self-confidence. There was, I don't have any ideas. I don't have anything to contribute to this. And so we started our brainstorming session. And this individual, I think we did a sticky note exercise where you take ideas and we all kind of pitch back and forth and you put your ideas out. We have them charted out so that they're in buckets. It's really helpful. And I think she put one idea down in like the 10 minutes or whatever. And everyone else is like, idea, we're getting the juices flowing, that kind of thing. And then we switched it up a bit and we had partners. And so Mitch partnered with this person and kind of helped her realize that she does have a perspective to offer. And that, it doesn't matter that she is not the owner. Her perspective and her ideas are just as valuable to finding the right solution for the problems that we had raised as anyone else who's at that table. And by the end of the next 10-minute segment of that session, she had warmed up and she had sticky notes flying.
Yeah, she had 14 ideas.
14 ideas.
Some of them were the best ideas, and I actually followed up with them, and 3 of the ideas from that session have been implemented in their business, and really to help their retail store have better community engagement and have more community visibility. And so, and she was responsible for one of those ideas.
Yeah. And so one of the most rewarding things for me is you take this creative mindset, these tools, you go in and it might not even be super glamorous. Like you're sitting around a table with a team and you're just doing the hard work of identifying problems and potential ideas for solutions. But for her, there was a pivotal moment of transformation where it's like, all right, I just come in and I do my job, to I have ownership in this organization now. I have ownership and I have stock in this, and I'm responsible for the progress here as well. And so the whole team dynamic kind of was able to shift a bit, and she had a different way of relating with the team. And so, by the end of it, the organization got a lot out of that as well, just because everyone at the table was offering their perspectives. So those sorts of stories are my Simon Sinek's why behind design thinking.
So I'm a business owner and I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, oh, that's all well and good. What does it take, though, for me as a business owner, or me as an example, an archetype business owner? What does it take for a business owner to sit here and look at this and go, okay, this is what I need? Or more to the point, how often is a business owner going to look at this and go, oh, I don't need that? And what are the challenges in overcoming that pushback from a business owner?
That's an excellent question. One of the things that we have noticed is it's easy to feel like, especially if you don't know design thinking very well, that you don't need it. It's hard to admit that we have problems in a business. And so when we frame it as this is problem solving, it's easy to say, well, we're fine, we don't need that. But the reality of design thinking is it's not just about like, oh, I'm broken and our business is failing, so I'm going to go get fixed. And that's what design thinking does. Even if you're at the best place you've ever been, that might even be the best time to start implementing design thinking, because it'll increase your momentum and take what you already have that's awesome and take it to new places and to new heights and increase the momentum. So if you don't like the word problem, opportunities works just as well. Challenges, because it really does help with that. So the first is do you as a business owner, do you want to explore new territory? If you can say yes to that, design thinking is for you.
Right. I also would say that when we use the words creativity or innovation, oftentimes this can sound like a luxury item for businesses. They'll say to themselves, you know what, I have conflict resolution I need to give attention to. I have this list of things just to keep my head above water, to really pursue something like this, once I get all of my ducks in a row, maybe this would be something I would consider. That's where we would really challenge that understanding and say, this is one of the things that's most needed. Again, that's why I referenced the World Economic Forum. This is the skill. And if we know that this is a skill, we know we can teach this skill, and we know we can become better at this as an organization in our businesses, that will make our work matter. And allow our staff to really work in a different way. We would say that this is the skill that should be focused on, perhaps even the most. So that's one of the challenges that we encounter, is helping people understand that this isn't just a luxury item. This isn't a soft skill. This is something that is needed today in order to be taking your business into the future.
One of the conversations I have on a regular basis is the notion that smaller businesses, smaller organizations like the Covation Center, we can be more agile. Mm-hmm. We adapt more easily because we're not structured, we're not calcified, if you will, by all the things that have gotten in place and structures, and we can move more fluidly between things. And so what I'm hearing you say is a business needs to, if they're a large business, figure out how do you break down the calcified walls and structures and be more creative and adaptive. And if you're a smaller business, lean into the fact that you have that agility that enables you to shift and move and outmaneuver. One of the things I'm seeing with ChatGPT is big corporations are saying, don't use it. Nope. If we see it on your machine, you're fired. Right? And small organizations are going, oh, please, let me write my memos. Let me write my emails. Let's put together that business plan and let's lean into this. Yeah. And the marketing strategy. So I feel like the creativity's been opened for the smaller organizations that almost have to thrive. Or to survive, they have to thrive in this area.
And that's what happens with a lot of larger companies, is that they get to this place where they feel like they're untouchable. But there are these smaller and medium-sized businesses that feel this urgency and have this permission to try things that are different, take risk. And so before they know it, then they're de-seeded from that. I mean, one of the most well-known stories with that is Blockbuster, right?
Who?
But yeah, right, yeah. I mean, and so we talk about this example, but Blockbuster was sitting pretty for so long, right? I mean, I can remember my childhood going, and one of my favorite things to do is Friday night, go get a movie and get popcorn and bring it back and watch a movie,
and maybe even a Twizzlers.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
splurging.
And so that's part of many people's, millennials and older, like their memory is that. And they had the opportunity to purchase Netflix. They could have purchased it dirt cheap. But they said, no, what we're doing is working. It's calcified. They said, this is, we're gonna stay put, right? And now, where is it? And that's the same story over and over again. I'd have to check the actual, so don't quote me on this, but I believe that since 2010, over 50% of the Fortune 500 businesses no longer exist. Yeah. And so, but again, the ones that are willing to adapt, it takes courage, it takes intellectual, it takes our willingness to become intellectually exhausted and emotionally exhausted to do this work. We don't want to tell people this is super easy. We come in, we play a couple games. No, this is hard work, but it's meaningful work, and it does work.
It's interesting you talk about that, because I've been watching this. What happened to? I wish I remember the name of the series on YouTube. Maybe if I can find it, we'll put it in the section below. But for the video, there's videos on what happened to Circuit City. How did they fail? What happened to Gateway Computer? That was a very interesting one. What happened to Fry Electronics? If you don't know Fry, Fry Electronics was a big one out in Texas and West, started in California. How did all of these big names that really seemed to be untouchable, as you said, or at least on the ascendancy, just fall apart? And a lot of times it was because of that. This has been a great conversation. I appreciate you humoring me and letting me point out some of the books that we have for the masterclass and how they've actually helped you think through some things as well. Do you have any design thinking books that you'd recommend us to look at?
We do, yeah. We have a couple favorites that we've been paging through and kind of have put on the priority section of our shelf. I'm terrible with remembering authors' names,
but we might put it in the section
we
below.
Can link up our 3 favorite books. They really have been helpful to us, just putting words to the kind of processes that we want to develop. So we'll put those in the link below, or the links below as well. But first one would be, there's a book called Design Thinking Toolkit. Toolbox? Toolkit.
Toolkit.
Design Thinking Toolkit. And that is a book. It was written by a team that has actually been doing this for years and years and years. And so what they've done is an excellent job at breaking down. It's a very tangible step by step. You open the book and you're off to the races, and you kind of walk through these steps. And they have tools, and they have all of the sorts of theory behind, like, why does this work, and what is the need for you to go through the observation phase and that sort of thing. And so that's been a really helpful book. The other one that I love is Thinkertoys. Mitch introduced me to that one as well. Thinkertoys is basically a book.
Oh, that's a riff on Tinkertoys.
It is.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It's Thinkertoys, and it's a whole book just filled with like brainstorming exercises and ideating exercises, and that has just been a ton of fun. So like, you open it up, you point your finger to a random page, you're like, all right, let's try this one out today. And so we have a couple favorites from that book, but that's been really helpful.
Yeah.
Do you have any others?
I mean, there's a book called The Idea Agent. Now, it's not specifically design thinking, but there's a lot of principles that are that are paralleled inside of it. And so that's a really great book as far as taking teams through this idea process. So that can be helpful too. But yeah, I mean, we can send you as many as you like.
Yeah. Side note, I think Imago recently did like our 5 favorite books on social media, like on our LinkedIn page. We posted those. So
so we'll definitely
go
link
check
to
those
you
out.
guys there
Yeah.
as well. Which gets me to my next question. It's easy for me to know how to reach out to you guys. You're in front of me. But for anybody watching, how do they get in touch with you to find out if you might be the solution they didn't know they were looking for?
Well, you can email me, Mitch at innovateimago.com, or
Imago, I-M-A-G-O?
Yep.
And innovate the traditional way?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, or you can go to our website, innovateimago.com. So those would be probably the 2 most immediate ways, or email Ben at innovateimago.com.
We have social media as well, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, so you can find us pretty much all those places.
Soon you'll be able to point to a YouTube video.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, right on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Point to us. What last things would you want to tell somebody who is sitting here going, I'm good, I think, maybe?
Sure. For me, it would be to de-escalate the intimidation factor on design thinking. I know for me, I was like, hey, this sounds like a fun thing to learn, but I don't know if I actually want to try it out in real world scenarios where there's like risk and stuff. So
Wait, this could ruin my business?
Exactly. So there's an intimidation factor, and so we can kind of stake our reputation on this. This has worked. We've seen it work time and time again. It's worked for us, for other organizations that we've been working with.
Lincoln, New Hampshire.
Yeah, like in New Hampshire. And there are ways that you can practice with low risk and kind of get yourself worked up. And so we can help with that. We can do simulations, we can do real problems, and we can walk with you along that. It's something that anyone can do. Really.
You don't have to change the world all at once.
No. And it's something that literally anyone can do. We believe that.
Yeah, at its heart, design thinking really is a mindset. That's we teach it as a process, it's taught as a process, but at the end of the day, it really is a mindset that as you acquire the tools that are part of this process, you understand the process, what you'll eventually be able to do is come across a situation in your company, in your business, and say, this is the right tool for right now. And if you don't learn those, you'll never be able to access those tools. And so, we really give you encouragement. It's we do one-day workshops to walk people through a challenge that we bring to the table for them, and it's great for people to introduce design thinking to their teams and organizations. We do 5-day sprints where they bring their biggest challenge that they can muster. We help them bring the right team, and in 5 days we go from this challenge and we walk out with a tested prototype that they are ready to start implementing.
Now you say prototype. Let's don't put too many boxes in here. It doesn't have to be a thing, although it can be a thing.
Sure.
It can be a process.
It can be a system.
It can be a product. It could be a system. Anything like that. Something you do, whatever that is, can be improved or rethought.
That's right. I mean, if perhaps you have your organizational structure needs to be rethought, or perhaps you do need something that needs product development, and you're looking to revamp whatever that looks like. So yeah, it's very widely applied. Again, that's why we use the word challenge. What is the challenge that you would love to have solved? And in 5 days, we can walk out with that. And then for businesses that don't have that 5 days to dedicate, we do evening or during the day sometimes, but shorter 2-3 hour sessions once a week for 6 weeks, walking teams through that process. So those are some of the specific ways that we work with design thinking to help introduce it and help teams really engage with it well.
I'm not sure what I like more about this, the energy that you guys are bringing to the conversation, or the ideas that you've just stuck in my head that I'm going to have to work through and think about just for the Covation Center and the businesses we work with. Thank you both for joining me, and thank you for watching this video. If you want to find out more, don't forget to hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit like on this one, and that bell will let you know next time we have a video up there. I'm Steve Brady, the Executive Director of the Covation Center. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, seriously, thank you.